Hi everyone, hope you're doing really well. As we get closer to the US election, do you think the Democrats and Deep State, more importantly, will be running scared for the thought that they won't hold on to power if Donald Trump was to successfully win a second term? Do you think it's crossed their mind that he needs to be gone permanently? What I'm talking about is, if they're not going to be able to beat him in a fair fight, a fair election, a one and true fair election that we haven't seen for some time now, then they would have to consider some alternative, wouldn't they, to hold on to power. Now, 3 years ago, we was in the throes of COVID-19, and it acted as the perfect playground to win an election by using not so fair means. Going into detail, you might say, dead people can't really vote, but they certainly came out to vote for Joe Biden, didn't they? And there was a lot of irregularities that were occurring at that time. Ballot harvesting, and there were so many people that were saying that there was truckloads coming from one of the Democrat states into, you get the picture. People came forward in their droves, and they were dismissed. So what I'm saying is, you think that they'll consider whacking Donald Trump? Or would that be just, no, we're not going there? I mean, when you consider that they have whacked presidents in the past, when it suited them, maybe this could happen. I hope we don't go down that route. I wouldn't like to see that happen. But do you honestly think that Joe Biden is a great testimony to American power, since all he ever does is speak incoherently using what they're called idiot cards, and he actually reads out the parts you're not supposed to read out. So that really is summing up an idiot card read by an idiot. But he can't walk in a straight line. How many times now has he fallen over? Do you think in the eyes of the world they're looking at America and seeing that they're a very, very weakened nation, and they're there for the taking? Countries like China and Russia and Iran and a lot of the superpowers that are nuclear capable must be looking at the United States and thinking, this is the best chance we're ever going to get to knock them down, remove them from the seat of power. Now, going back to 3 years ago, I actually did stay up all night to watch the US elections because I found American politics a bit more interesting than English politics. I find that English politics is incredibly boring, but I didn't find that American politics was boring. And I stayed up. I didn't miss any of it. And I remember the commentary that was coming from the UK. And I am telling you right now that the two commentators, I'm not going to name them, but it was almost as if they knew that Donald Trump was going to lose. Even though they were trying to conduct everything on the night in a spirit of fairness, it just simply wasn't fair at all. It seemed to me that they had a predestined hate for Trump on the night. And of course, at one time, Donald Trump was winning by quite a large margin. But then the night fell, and during the night, everything changed. Everything just turned over. And Donald Trump was thinking to himself, I would have thought at the time, how can I be winning by such a big margin? And yet, in the morning, he looks at the figures, and they found a way to give votes to the opponent. But we're not going to go into too much detail about how they managed to do that. the real heartbreaker would be is if it happened again. If they tried to manipulate or to find a way to keep hold of power. Because as it stands now, Trump has got the numbers and he's got the backing. And I should imagine those that actually legitimately voted for Joe Biden last time probably won't again. They won't do it again. They won't vote for him. They've had enough evidence now that very shortly he could be impeached. And there was always that rumour going around 3 years ago that he colluded and they had business dealings within China and Ukraine. And if all of that becomes solidly proved, hopefully before the election, then I would suggest that the Democrats would be looking at bringing in new blood to go up against Trump. Now, if they did that and it was somebody that people respected, then they might have a much better chance. But as it stands now, I wouldn't give them a prayer's chance of overturning Trump if it goes into the election and on the night where they go up against each other. If Biden was in power, with what Trump knows about him, I would suggest he'll absolutely slay him in the battle of words. And so they'll try for Trump not to go up against them. But will they actually repeat American history and look for a way of taking him out permanently? I hope not. I don't want that to happen. I don't want them to think it's okay to whack a president. It was never okay to whack JFK the way they did. But they did, didn't they? Because all the evidence is pouring out about that now, about it being a colluded hit between three fractions. I'm not naming those fractions, but you interpret that how you want. We don't want it to happen again. But the deep state could get desperate, believing that Trump could actually uncover them. All their shenanigans and all their dealings, hypocrisies and everything else over the last 3 years. He's always been threatening to do that. But if he gets enough on them, then I'm sure that that's what he will do. And so they will probably, in a last-ditch attempt to remain under the radar, have to do the ultimate. And that is to remove the one that is accusing Mr. Trump. But I hope not. And that's where I'll leave it. I'll see you all again, peeps.